my channel. So today I figured I would tell you a little story about how I really embarrassed myself back a couple years ago during a family session and how it kind of taught me how to be prepared and a couple other lessons of thinking ahead. So if you want to hear the story of how I embarrassed myself, then go ahead and keep on watching. So a girl reached out to me on Facebook looking for a photographer for her and her family. Her family was coming into town, and so they wanted to capture the group of them together. So I was totally up for the job. I knew I could do it. I guess where this story starts is the preparation for the shoot. I didn't really ask too many questions. The biggest thing I was concerned about was finding out what type of location she wanted, like where did they want the photos done, so I could think of all the locations in my area and go from there. Her family was from up north and they settled on the beach, which is great. It's not uncommon for people to want to shoot at the beach, so that was totally fine. I knew I had that under control. But as far as the questions, that was kind of where I stopped with the questions. I had her tell me where she wanted to shoot, and then from there I picked a location, and then we discussed time. And so as far as time, I think I kind of left this up to her. I just kind of said, so what time is good for you that day? And for them, it was the morning. Once again, as a photographer, we should be able to shoot in any type of condition, so shooting in the morning was totally fine with me. So for the shoot day, we had planned to meet at 10 o'clock. I would meet at their beach house that they were staying at or renting at, and then from there, we would kind of caravan over to the meeting spot on the beach where we would take the photos. When I arrived at her house, I realized that there was a lot more people there than I had originally thought. So for some reason, I just assumed that it would be around 5 to 6 people. I don't know why. That was just in my head what I thought a family session should be, 5 to 6 people. But because I didn't ask, I had no idea. So when I showed up, I believe there was around like 14 to 15 people. And the ages were, from kids to grandparents, all different ages. And it was a little bit of a hectic morning with all of the family members in this house, and I remember immediately being a little bit overwhelmed and thinking, okay, it's more people than you thought, but you got this. So when we arrived to the location, I was a little bit overwhelmed. At that point, you know that all the responsibility is on you. And so when you're just one person and there's a group of 15 people and they're all just kind of looking at you, it is a little bit intimidating if maybe you don't have the experience or you're not confident enough. So the particular place that I chose was kind of like a hybrid area where there's this lush grass and trees, and then there's a little boardwalk and you walk out and it's just a beach with no shade, just, a beach. So when we first got there, I kind of decided, let's go to the lush green area first and let's get our safe shots. If you want me to make a video on how to get safe shots and what safe shots are, leave a comment down below and I'll make a video on that. But yeah, I wanted to get my safe shots first, and keeping in mind that I knew the biggest reason why they wanted to be there was because of the beach. So I was keeping that in mind, but for me, I just knew that I would feel most comfortable if I started there to get the safe shots. So in my mind, the first thing that I'm realizing is that it's a little bit past 10 o'clock, and I had anticipated the sun being a little bit lower, and I'd also anticipated it being a little bit cooler out. Granted, it was Florida. I had lived there my whole life. I should have known better, but I just didn't think it was going to be that hot, and I kind of thought that the sun would be a little bit hidden by the clouds. Well, it was none of that. By 10 o'clock or whatever time we were there by, the sun was beaming and it was hot. I underestimated it because it was October, so I kind of just in my mind was thinking, oh, it's fall time, even though once again, I'm from Florida and I should have known that, and I guess I did know that, but that fall doesn't exist and it's practically summer, let's be real. So that was my first concern, was trying to beat the heat. I knew I had this big group of people, all different ages, older people, younger people, and I knew I had to keep everyone comfortable and calm. And so yeah, that was the first obstacle, was trying to get everyone calm, trying to get everyone okay with the temperature, and trying to get my safe shots. So first I was just lining everyone up in groups. I kind of just did the big group and then kind of broke it down from there. And so I didn't really know the dynamic of who belonged to what side of the family, who was who, and all of that. So it was really challenging for me to be able to even communicate with them on who I wanted separated from the groups and who I wanted in the group. So we're kind of trying to really jet through these first shots, and as I'm taking these shots, I'm really noticing that the lighting is just really harsh, and I'm just not enjoying how harsh the light is with all of the greens around. It's just, I'm trying to just like keep up the energy and make them know that I have this under control and everything is super good and the pictures look great, and everyone just starts asking like, when are we gonna go to the beach? I thought we were taking pictures on the beach. And I was just starting to panic a little bit because at this point my reasoning for going to this green or kind of lush area was to get my safe shots, and I knew that I didn't get any. Okay, I didn't get any good shots yet. So yeah, we continued on and we finally made our way to the beach, and this is when things started getting really out of control. So by this time, we had been about 20 to 30 minutes into the session, maybe a little bit less, but by this time the sun was practically mid-sky. I mean, it was practically completely overhead, which, as you all know, is a photographer's nightmare. Why have I found myself in that position so many times? I don't know. But anyway, they were wanting to pose in front of the water. So at that point, the sun is almost directly overhead, but not quite. So if they were to have stood right in front of the water, they would have been casted these really ugly shadows over their face. So I had to find a way that I could kind of shimmy them to the side and kind of backlight them to the sun and get the water included. And as I'm doing this, I am legitimately running back and forth to this huge group of 15 people on the beach, in the sand, in jeans. Because what did I tell you? I don't want to say I'm stupid, but like, I don't learn. That was probably my 23rd year, 24th year in Florida, and I didn't learn. I didn't know. You don't wear jeans to the beach, Cody. But I did that. And I was running back and forth, trying to, adjust one hand or get closer or whatever, trying to communicate any of the instructions that I could to them. So what was happening was that we were right by the water and the waves were crashing, making it really hard to hear. And another thing that maybe I can cover in another video another time is lenses and shooting with different lenses for different situations. So at this time I was using my 70 to 200. So I was so far away from these people. So not only was it hard enough to hear because we're on the beach and it's loud, but I have a ton of distance between us, a huge camera in front of my face, and I'm trying to shout, get a little closer, or put your hand in your pocket. And it was just so tiring. I can't even explain to you how tiring this was. I got the big group and then I'm kind of breaking it down once again, trying to get couples, trying to get, different sides of the family together, because once again, when I spent that whole first half of my shoot trying to get my safe shots, I didn't get any safe shots. So I'm kind of trying to make up for everything here on the beach. Long story short, this shoot did go really well, I will say. Like, the pictures turned out great. They loved them. I was actually happy with these pictures. I remember looking at these pictures and thinking, ooh, did I level up with this? So the pictures did turn out great, but when I was finishing up this shoot, I was like, great job, everybody. You did awesome. And everyone was so hot and so sweaty. And I had sunglasses on because it was that bright outside. There was no coverage on the beach. As you know, there's no shade on the beach. So it was so sunny that I couldn't even keep my eyes open to look through my camera. And so I'd have to have my sunglasses on, then flip them on my head and look through my viewfinder and, that whole thing. Wrapped up the shoot and we're all kind of walking back to the boardwalk to head to the parking lot where we all were parked. And I was chatting with the girl and I was like, thank you so much. And when I said that, I put my sunglasses on to the top of my head and I'm face to face with her, thanking her and saying, thanks so much for reaching out and scheduling this shoot with me. And you can expect your photos in this amount of time. Okay, I walk back to my car. I sit in my car. I crank the AC because I am dying. I was trying to contain myself, but my mouth was dry. I was just sweaty, sticky, the whole thing. So I cranked the air so I could feel just how gross I really felt. So I wanted to pull down my mirror and see what the damage really was. And I was shook. Okay? I have legitimately never ever seen myself look this way. I had mascara completely just dripping down my face. The worst that you could think of that, yeah, it was that. Dripping down my face and on my shirt, because I decided to wear a gray shirt because I was like, oh yeah, it's fall time in Florida and it's the morning. It's gonna be so nice and overcast, and It wasn't. I had strips down the front of me of sweat from the straps of my backpack that I wore the whole time. And on my back, since the back was covered with the actual backpack, it was a darker shade of gray. It looks like I jumped in the pool on the backside with then just 2 thick straps of sweat down my front. And I was mortified. I was like, this is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, what did I just experience? What did you just put yourself through, Cody? So yeah, I completely embarrassed myself by looking a hot mess, and like beyond a hot mess. I'm a bum, I know that, but like for me to admit that this was the most embarrassing image or visual of me you could imagine, just believe me. When I tell you that I tell this story all the time and that I will never forget this, I mean it. Because that's how bad it was. It was just so embarrassing. And when I tell you I was talking to this woman this close, thank you so much. You can expect to have your photos back in 2 weeks. And I just had so much fun with you guys. You did awesome. It was really hot out here, but we made it. She was probably like, this poor girl. She was probably just like, this poor girl. So anyway, as far as what can you take out of this video, there's a lot of mistakes that I made, you guys. Number one, to start with, I should have asked how many people there were. Let me tell you, I have never made the mistake since of not asking how many people are included. It's really important for you to prepare as far as location. Do you need a big location, a small location? Do we need chairs to kind of accommodate different tiers of people or different age groups? And just like that, is it too big of a group where if we go outside, it's going to be too hard to handle everyone and people are going to get uncomfortable and hot and sweaty? There's a lot of just as far as basic location details that you need to know when it comes down to amount of family included. The second is when I discussed it being really difficult to break down the groups. As you all know, when you're doing a big group of family portraits, yeah, you want to do a big group shot, but you also want to break it down and get some individual shots of kind of segments of the family. And when you don't know the names or dynamic or people are divorced or anything like that, it makes it really hard to kind of, number one, not offend anybody, but number two, be efficient and make your shoot go by fast. Of course, to be able to get the safe shots and allow your shoot to fit in the window that you have scheduled for. So that's number one. I messed up there. Had I known how big of the group it was, I could have had an assistant come with me to help kind of aid in the process of running back and forth and really just tiring myself out. I could have charged more, or I would have charged more, because I, need to raise the price if there's going to be over a certain amount of people in the group. Those were the first things that I could have helped out if I would have just asked how many people were going to be there. Now, the second part where I messed up was not having the proper experience to be able to handle shooting in any type of lighting condition. I didn't have the experience that I have now to be able to handle that type of situation. Because I was lacking experience, I should have controlled the scheduling a little bit more and tried to direct them to a time of day where I was more comfortable shooting, be it golden hour or a little bit earlier than we had shot. Where I'm at right now, I'm very comfortable taking on, honestly, any time of day. I know I can get the job done, but then I just didn't have the experience to be able to take on the job. Granted, I was able to pull through and manage to get the shots I needed, but it did cause a lot of inner turmoil during the shoot that definitely could have been avoided. And so the last thing that I messed up on was what I wore and not paying attention to the temperature and where I was at. I mean, that is just honestly such a silly mistake, especially for someone that wasn't new to the area. It wasn't like I was doing a destination shoot and wasn't familiar with the climate. I was very familiar and just ignored everything that I knew. But since then, I think all of you do know that it's kind of a joke with me that I'm always wearing black, but that is legitimately why I wear black. Not just because of sweat, because now that I live in Colorado, I don't really have that issue as much with sweating, but just in general, it kind of makes me look the cleanest. I feel like in most professional, I tend to be crawling all over the place and on my knees in the dirt and whatever. So when I wear black, it's easier just to like wipe off the mess and kind of move on. I just think it makes me look the most professional. And so that was a big mistake. Not picking a proper location that was gonna kind of fit the group that I had. So I made a lot of mistakes in that shoot, but it was honestly so embarrassing and I'm really never gonna forget that one. But if you guys like this story, just leave a comment down below. I kind of want to share these stories to help you learn in your photography career and hopefully help you think of things that you never even thought of before. And with doing that, hopefully it will help you not run into some of the embarrassment that I have, because trust me, there has been a whole lot of it. So yeah, if you like this video, please leave a comment below and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe, because I'll be posting more videos more frequently, more often, so get ready for that. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.